Hey guys, FuzionTimmy here. I know, it's crazy. I'm posting so soon after my last video. Only 4 days ago. This must be some kind of a miracle, because I never do this. However, today is a very special day. Not really. I just felt like making a video. But with that being said, it's been a while since my last showcase, and since you guys did so much support for solo leveling, making it the 2 of 10, I think it's time to do a showcase on solo leveling. So for those of you that enjoyed watching the video and you want to know some more stuff about the mod, I'm going to be splitting this into sections. So let's start with the first section, the system. Now, if you're curious of how you can even enter the system, when you first spawn in, it might take a couple minutes. It doesn't take long. Sometimes it's immediate, but eventually, within a few minutes of spawning in, it's going to make sure that you've leveled up. Once you see a notification on your screen saying that you've awakened and that you've leveled up, you can hit the O button on your keyboard to bring up this menu. Now, as you can see, I have not done anything, I haven't killed anyone, and I'm already level 5. I think it starts you off at a random level, but it tends to be between 3 and 5. The longer you're here, the higher this level will get, so if you were to sit here for a couple hours, this level should go up a little bit in theory. However, we have 13 points. Now, you're going to notice some job stuff and a title. Don't worry about that yet. First off, this is your level, this is your XP amount, and this is the stats that you can input. Sense allows you to detect enemies from afar and like through walls. This is really useful if you don't have other mods installed. If you're purely using solo leveling, this is a pretty good stat to have to just know what's ahead. Intelligence. This is going to refill your mana bar, which is down here at the bottom left. This is what you're going to use for all of your abilities. So for whatever class you go for, you're probably going to have skills and you're going to need mana for skills. This is your mana bar. It goes up according to your intelligence. Vitality. This is going to increase your overall health and how hard you are to kill. Depending on if you have other health mods, you will see how high your health bar has gotten, but if you have nothing, you're just not going to see it. Just know that you're tankier. You're going to feel it. You're going to notice that you're way harder to kill. Agility. This is going to make you quicker, so you're able to dodge more, because there's a dodge system within this mod that allows you to dodge attacks by a random chance. This also makes you quicker at running. Finally, we have strength, and all this does is increase your overall damage, so when you hit something, you will do more damage. As far as I understand, I don't believe there is a level cap, so you can kind of go crazy with it. Okay, but what is a job? A job is going to basically be your class within inside of the game. Now, here's a list of all of the different classes you can unlock, and I'll explain how to unlock those soon, but just know that when you have a class, you'll be able to unlock a skill through there. And the skills you can find in this little menu right here. As you can see, you click these arrows left or right, and you'll be able to select an ability. Now, I don't have a class right now, so you can't see anything. But depending on your class, you'll be able to click it and then drag it into one of these slots. Now, in case you're wondering how to use those abilities, it should by default be C to switch the skills. As you can see at the bottom left, I'm switching skills, and it should be R to actually use the skill. Now, titles, since we're already on the subject of job and titles are going to be something that you get from defeating major bosses within the storyline and within the mod. For instance, if you kill a goblin boss, you're going to get something that gives you a 20% dodge chance, which is pretty good. I think it's called Goblin Slayer. You're going to get a bunch of titles throughout the game, and I don't want to spoil the surprise. Just know that you could equip them here, and it'll give you a random buff. Okay, next we have the shop. This is going to be the system. This is where you're going to be getting your equipment to fight through the mod. Now, I highly recommend, at least in the meantime, considering installing some more weapon mods, but what we have here isn't bad either. Cromta has done an amazing job with this mod so far. It's still a work in progress, but what he has done is truly amazing. So you start off with the $100, and usually what I recommend is buying a sword of some kind, unless you just want to craft a sword. But let's just take a quick look at what we got in here. So we have some basic Minecraft essentials, but there's something called an energy meter in here. There's some weapons, and I'm going to go into these in deeper detail soon. But, you know, there are arrows, so you have like infinite arrows that you can just buy. More weapons, and then there's this armor set that you can get, which is, I believe, the best armor set within the game. You have some amulets and different doohickeys that I'm going to go over later. I will go ahead and mention that the dragon armor set, for some reason I haven't been able to access it this entire time I've been trying to play, even in the video. It's here in the shop, but I'm just going to say that I can't seem to find it anywhere else, and it might be currently out of use. I'm not exactly sure. You might be able to buy it. You could give it a shot. But yeah, it's just a good armor set. It's nothing too crazy. It looks pretty cool, I guess. Okay, next we have your quest. Now, this is your daily quest. Speaking of which, I should probably do it before I end up getting sent to a very bad zone. The punishment zone. So I need to run a certain amount of blocks, and I need to do a certain amount of squats. Now, obviously, squats is just going to be hitting shift on your keyboard or whatever it is for you to crouch. And running's just going to be, running around. You do this, and it's going to give you some XP and free rewards. But if you don't do this within, I believe, like 20 to 30 IRL minutes, you're cooked. You're going to be sent to the punishment zone, and you're not going to have a fun time. But it's only for a few minutes. Would you look at that? It's a gate. Now, this is exactly what you're going to be going into to fight different bosses. Not just bosses, but normal enemies too. But I'll go in deeper detail on that later. Now, whenever you complete your daily quest, you're going to be given a random reward. It's going to have 3 different options, and you can just pick and choose what you want. It'll be one of the random items within the game. It's pretty helpful. And that is pretty much it for the system, other than the settings menu, of course. So let's talk about the gates for a moment, just because one's already over here. We're pretty much done with the systems. So let's talk about gates. Look at this bad boy. This is where you're going to go to fight all different types of creatures and monsters. Now, as you get stronger, these portals are going to have random enemies every time you go in. Now, this one is going to remain whatever it is when you enter. Whenever you leave and come back, it should be the exact same as how you left it. But any other gate will be entirely different and randomly generated. You might start off with something like goblins, but eventually have something like golems or wolves. And you'll see a lot of this in the 100-day video that I did. For those who are interested, I highly recommend you go watch that video. But on the subject of gates, sometimes something known as a red gate will spawn. Now, in the making of this recording, I think red gates are broken, but they used to work. If you go to older versions of the mod, they definitely work. However, Cromta is working on fixing that immediately. Red gates are essentially going to be, sometimes you'll go through a blue gate, they'll turn into a red gate, and let's just say you can't get out of those. You cannot leave. Also, sometimes you'll just find red gates that just happen to be around, and they're usually going to be a very high level area that's very dangerous. So just know that there's a small chance that you might be totally cooked. Finally, I think it takes 45 real-life minutes, and eventually a dungeon break will occur. Now, what happens is when these dungeons break, there's going to be all types of mobs to come outside of the gates. So if it was goblins, there's going to be goblins everywhere. And I think that's about all you need to know about gates. Let's talk about stamina. So, stamina. You're going to notice a stamina bar at the bottom left. And you're going to notice that as you fight, you might have not even given it much thought because it just counts up. However, it's going to get higher and higher as you attack. As you can see, when I do a couple attacks, it just starts to fly up. And in combat, this is pretty bad. This is a very scary thing to have to deal with. But, yeah, you can see it just goes up. So the real question is, how do you make this go down, and how does this affect you? So the higher your stamina is, the less damage you're going to do. And overall, it's not a good thing to have, all right? You want your stamina to be lower. So how do you get your stamina to be lower? Let's just get it up again. Okay, so what you want to do is simply hold shift, and you'll notice that it gets quicker. Your stamina will gradually go down on its own, but if you hold shift, it's going to go down way quicker. So some people might prefer to attack while already crouched. I will say I am trying to tell Cromta, the creator of the mod, to consider trying to make the stamina regen a little bit faster. I like the idea of there being stamina because it's accurate to the lore. However, I do think when you shift, it should go down quicker. I think the rate of what it goes down when you're naturally fighting is fine. I just think that whenever you're trying to crouch, it should go down quite a bit quicker than this. It's still a little slow. You're able to build up hundreds of stamina very quickly, so it can be a little annoying. But yeah, that's really all you need to know about stamina. Okay, next, let's talk about weapons. So there's all different kinds of weapons, and some you can even dual wield. But if you want something simple, this is kind of like an iron sword. This is known as the classic sword. It has 5 attack damage. For reference, an iron sword has 6, so this is actually slightly worse than an iron sword, but it does exist. It's nothing too crazy, very basic weapon, but yeah, it exists in the mod. I thought it was worth talking about. Now, a lot of these different weapons are going to have special abilities. Now, I'm not going to show off every single weapon, and I'm going to leave that as kind of like a surprise for you. But just to be kind of vague, like these daggers, you can dual wield them. So here's an example. You just put this in this slot right here. You grab that, boom, you're dual wielding now. Which is really cool because that's what jinwoo does. There's some spears in here which just have pretty good reach. You have this shield which basically just hits enemies per swing. It looks pretty cool. Toka actually used this in the video. You can hold right click and you'll be shielding. This is a magic staff. It just boosts your magic by 20%, which is pretty good. You get this battle axe, which has a crazy ton of side effects. You got a cleaver, a dark bow, which let's just see what that looks like because it's a little different than the other weapons. You will need arrows, but like I said, you can get those in the system. Whoa, look at that. It's like rapid fire. That's insane. That's actually pretty cool. You don't really have to charge it. You just hold right click and it just starts blazing. That's pretty sick. I probably should have used this in one of my videos. We do have some different daggers. Like I said, they have different abilities. Like one's paralyze and bleed damage, which will basically stun the enemy and makes them die quicker. We have armor piercing from Night Killer, which is good against Igris whenever you fight him to try and get your class. You have the Demon King Longsword, which just sends out like a lightning wave, which is pretty cool. Like, look at that. When you swing, it literally sends out a lightning wave periodically, which is just so cool. This is one of my favorite weapons. It's Reaper. It gives you some life still. It's nothing super OP, but it's just kind of nice to have. You got the Kamish daggers. There's two different ones, and they're slightly different, but they're both pretty similar. The Baruka dagger, another axe, a katana that does piercing damage. You have a simple hammer, a fire staff, which, you know, this is a magic staff. It boosts your magic by 20%. This actually does 35% magic damage. So in a way, it's kind of better. You got another dagger, which when you have two of them, it actually deals 30% more bonus damage, which is pretty cool. And then you have finally an iron axe. That's about it for weapons. I'm not going to showcase every single one, but you guys can go test it out for yourselves, and it's pretty cool. Next, let's talk about amulets and protective materials. So check out these necklaces. I'm going to go across these. So these are some pretty basic items. We have a mana necklace, which boosts your mana by 5%. You can buy these within the shop. You have the health necklace, which will basically just increase your vitality by 10. You have the strength necklace, which will boost your direct damage by 5%. The immortality necklace, which unironically doesn't actually make you immortal. It just gives you 20% more reduction to damage, which is pretty good still. You have the protection amulet, which reduces another 5% on top of that. You have the magic orb, which comes from slaying the demon boss. It'll give you 100% more magic damage, which is huge. And then finally, we have a healing potion, which just basically gives you some healing. It's not instant. It just takes a little while. But still, it's better than nothing if you like that. I'm aware I said finally, but that's not actually it. There is some more. These are crystals that you're going to find within inside of the gates. Whenever you're trying to farm for XP and you're killing different enemies, you're going to sometimes get these crystals that'll drop, and you can also mine them. You will physically see crystals. Now, as you get to later stages, you can get another type of crystal. Basically, what you do is you sell these in the shop. So right now, if I was to sell crystals, my balance just went up. This is how you get more money, and this is how you buy items. Next, you have the rune stone. Now, when you do this, it's going to give you a random ability. I already have used this, so you'll see that I already have a skill. But to demonstrate, when you go to skills, you'll see learn skills from Runestone. You want to click that. I have an ability called Rage. I can equip that. Next, we have something simple called a protection crystal. This just gives you +5 to your vitality stat. And then something called an energy meter. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Well. You see this portal. This energy meter is supposed to help us. This will tell you how long it's going to be before a dungeon breaks and what rank it is. So as you can see, in 19 minutes, this dungeon's supposed to break, and it's a rank D, which means it's pretty bad. This has probably just got goblins in it or something because I'm low leveled. But this is really helpful to be able to track and see what gates are really looking like right now, and to try and track a dungeon break if you really want to see one. There is one more final item, but it's a work in progress, so it should be taken with a huge grain of salt, guys. It's something known as the phone. It even says work in progress. When you use it, you're going to see 4 different options. Ranking doesn't work yet. It doesn't work right now, but we do have the guild, which I do believe works, but you can also use that in the system. You have gates. This is where you can track different gates, which I will say does kind of work because as you can see, there's a gate right here, and it's telling you the exact coordinates of that gate, which is a pretty cool item. I believe you'd have to spawn this in creative mode, though. The bank doesn't work right now, unfortunately, either, so it's really just the guild and the gates. The gates is probably the best feature that you can make use of right now. So if you want to use that, the phone's there. Finally, for armor, we have the dragon scale armor, which I'm not able to get for some reason. And then we have the robe armor. Now, this is pretty simple. As you can see, it's got some decent stats, but it just looks terrible on me, guys. I don't think I pull off this look very well. Maybe you guys could make it work, but I kind of look strange, to say the least. Okay, and now let's talk about mobs, which will be probably the final part of this video. So, as you can see, I have a ton of mobs in this chest, so let's just start spamming them out. I'm not going to take too long on each mob because there's just a ton of them. This is going to be Igris, which, keep in mind, if you are a necromancer and you're trying to play as like jinwoo, whenever you make them your shadow soldiers, they're going to look different. If you watch my solo leveling videos, you'll understand. But they'll look different than this. He'll actually look like a shadow soldier. But this is normal Igris. This is what the standard shadow soldier is actually going to look like. This is a goblin. This is actually a bomber goblin. You could tell because of what's on his back. We have an assassin, a club, which is just because he's holding a club. We have a, I guess, Mahawk goblin, which is just another type of goblin, really. And then a normal goblin. Yeah, a lot of goblins in this, to be honest. We have a huge golem. This is like one of the bosses you're going to come across. We have a normal golem, which is just kind of like a normal one of these goblins. It's a normal golem. And this is a boss golem. He's huge. Okay, but to keep it going, we have Baru. He looks very cool as a Shadow Soldier, and he even bows to you, which is really cool. The animation's been done for that, but this is what he looks like normally. We have, this is like one of these wolves. You'll see a lot of these in some of the gates. We have an ant. These are some of the human characters that have been added recently. I don't believe you can just find these randomly, but I think eventually they're going to be used for some quest. This is a massive, giant spider boss, which is really cool. I didn't actually come across this in my video, but yeah, I know it exists. Oh, guess who it is? Kamish. Kamish is absolutely insane in this mod, and yes, you can ride him. I do it in my video. Honestly, Kamish is awesome, and he looks even cooler as a Shadow Soldier. He even spits fire, as you'd expect from a dragon. He's actually pretty well developed. This is just a skull. Now, what is the skull for? When you're a Necromancer, you can use the move Arise, which is one of your skills, and it'll arise one of these into either a Shadow Soldier or a Shadow Soldier variant of one of these mobs. Now, I'm actually surprised, but these guys are fighting. That's pretty cool. Look at her go. She is whooping that golem. Okay, we have an Ice Elf. We have an Ice Elf boss, which is not very different, but it's slightly bigger. You have the Monarch of Frost, which is just so cool. If you want to know what one of the monarchs looks like, it's like this. Very high level, so be careful. We have the Monarch of Giants, who says, "Quick, unseal me. There's no time left." Now, I have no idea how you're actually supposed to meet this guy, right? I don't know where he's supposed to spawn. He might not even have an area right now. But what you want to do is there's an item known as the Old Key, and basically when you do this, it unlocks him from his shackles. And now he just tries to kill you. He's only level 50 though, so he's a lot weaker than the Frost Monarch. But yeah, he exists if you want to spawn him in and fight him. And you have to have the Old Key for this. Next up, we got the Demon Boss, who's just a giant, ugly, like, pig thing. We have the Demon King himself, which is kind of like the Monarch of White Flames, which Toka ends up fighting. We have a Wild Demon, which I mistaken for a dragon for some reason in the 100-day video. We have a Guard, and then we have Undead. Now, the Undead, yeah, he just looks like an Undead. So, pretty simple. Okay, we're getting down to some of the last ones. This is like a centipede. This is what you're going to see if you end up going to the punishment zone, which you've definitely seen in the show. Very creepy looking, and there's a ton of them in the punishment zone. This guy, oh my god, man. This is a character right here. Another human character that's being added to the mod. We have an ice bear, which, yes, you can arise this bear. You can arise a lot of these. Now, I actually never saw this in the mod, so this is my first time seeing this. This is insane. It reminds me of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is actually a really cool model. I don't know how you're supposed to meet this, but it exists. You have an orc. You have a high orc, which is a stronger variant, and yes, you can arise it, so you can put that into your army. You have a tusk, which, oh my goodness, I never actually saw a tusk whenever I played. Maybe I missed out on a lot of Shadow Soldiers, but also I think a lot of these models aren't actually within gates or within the game. I could be wrong. I've just never encountered them. There might be certain ways to actually meet them that I'm not aware of, but these are really cool models. Let me know if I missed something. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. Next, we have a ruler. Once again, no idea how you're supposed to get to this area, but they basically just fly. Whenever they fight you, they'll fly straight up into the air. Very interesting. This is one of the scariest mobs that you can fight. This is the iconic statue. Yeah, this thing is insane. This is absolutely terrifying. Like, dude, what are we doing? Keep that thing away from me. Unfortunately, you cannot arise the statue, but that's to be expected. Okay, and these are the last two. This is some people's favorite girl. And then, yeah, last character. There is quite a few human characters that I have never came across, so I'm guessing these are probably going to be used in future updates when it comes to story modes. Just know this mod is a very big work in progress, so while these character models exist, they may not be naturally found within inside of the game. A lot of these are, but some of them probably aren't. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I've just never came across them myself. Okay, one last thing I want to talk about is different dimensions. So obviously when you go through a gate, you're kind of going to another dimension. That's totally normal. But you may not have known, unless you've seen my video, there's something called a dungeon key. Now you have to be at least level 50. And now if you do this, this is going to be the last part of the video. You right click the key and it's going to take you to the demon world. When you come here, it's going to be very, very creepy. One thing I did in the video that I recommend you guys do is trying to go ahead and give yourself night vision. So like effect, give, FuzionTimmy, night vision, you know, it's helpful in here. I'm not gonna lie. Something like that is all you really need, and it makes it a little easier to see what's inside of this realm. But pretty much, why would you be here? Because basically, eventually a portal is gonna open in the sky that Kamish can come through. And that's going to be really cool because you can naturally find Kamish through this, and you can actually tame him if you are a necromancer. This is absolutely huge. Now, we couldn't find a way to naturally spawn in the demon boss. Now, there is technically a way to get to floor 100, but I will say it takes a very long time. I had to kill 100 demons with my friends, and we only got to floor 2. It took like an hour. I don't recommend it. With the way the mod is, if you're going to come to this realm, I highly, highly recommend you just spawn in the boss to fight. Maybe just give yourself the ability to use cheats every here and there. You got to be able to trust yourself. Don't be cheating, man. Only use it to spawn in what you absolutely need. And if you do that, this mod's going to be a great time for you. Okay, but let's talk about another dimension, and this is one that I kind of skipped over. We're going to call this a new section just because it also serves another purpose. It's going to be how to get a class. So I haven't done any quests, but I will say that you're going to end up getting to a quest in your system that's going to say enter secret dungeon. When you do this, it's going to be how you get your classes. It's going to look like a building just like this, and this is where Igris is going to spawn. As long as you can kill all of the mobs within under 3 minutes, you're able to get any class in the game. Any class you want, which is really, really cool. To get monarch classes, you actually have to kill the monarchs. Otherwise, if you're looking for like Shadow Monarch, for instance, just become a Necromancer. For now, I believe they're the exact same. So yeah, you basically just got to come here, kill Igris, kill the waves up until Igris, and as long as you do that within 3 minutes, you're going to be able to get any class you need. It's not going to spawn in the open world like this. It's actually going to send you to a dimension. I just spawned this here to kind of display what this is going to kind of look like. Oh, and one more thing. Let's talk about different questions, just like random questions you might have. So one more thing. Let's talk about some random questions you might have. Like my leg. Tim, how do I fix my leg or my arm? It's broken. If you didn't know, this mod actually has some ways that you can lose a limb, right? And some of you might be wondering, how do you get back this limb? So this is the command. So basically you want to do set limb, your player name, false as long as you want to give your arm or leg back. So let's see. I am missing my right leg. So what I would do is I'd go here and I would put right leg. It would look just like this. Now when I do this, you're going to notice that my leg is back. If you lose a limb, it'll say it in the chat and you'll also get a slowness effect. And if you ever want to just give yourself a missing arm or leg for whatever reason, you can do true instead of false and it'll go just like that. So if that's how you fix that, a lot of people were wondering, that's how you do it. If you're wanting to give yourself XP or use some of the other soul leveling commands, basically the command's just like this. So you can add XP just like that. My bad, you do it like this. And then your name, and then however much you want. You can see there's also awaken. This is how to just awaken yourself. If you don't want to wait a few minutes when you first join the server to awaken, you could just hit this. There's some other commands here, but really you shouldn't really need these unless you want to reset your stats. If you're unable to dual wield some weapons, just know that it's still a work in progress. Some people are going to wonder about that. Eventually you're going to reach a point where the quests aren't going to work anymore, and you're going to be like, well, is there any more quests? Currently there's not that many. I believe after you do the secret dungeon, I believe that is the last mission. Now, when you go to the demon world, it could give you a mission to kill demons, but like I said, it took me an hour to kill 100 demons, and it led to nothing. And there's 100 floors, and that's all I got to was floor 2. It took me an hour to do that. I don't recommend trying to reach floor 100 right now. I don't know if it's fully finished. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be or not, but I just know it would take forever. When it comes to installing the mod, if you're having problems with installing the mod, let me just say, you're going to need these 3 mods. You're going to need the mod itself, the Collider mod, the Player Animator mod, and GeckoLib. All you have to do is look those up and go snag them. They should be on CurseForge. This mod is played in 1.20.1 currently, so yeah, just play in 1.20.1 Forge. What mods did you use in your 100-day video? I'm just going to throw those up on the screen. If you want to play exactly like what we did in the 100 Day Friends video, this is exactly what we used. I think that's about it, but if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comment section below. I'm sure there's a bunch of random stuff you guys are wondering, but I hope that I was able to help out at least somewhat. I don't know everything, but I know quite a bit, and I just wanted to try and give across the knowledge that I actually have. So if there's something I didn't address, let me know, and if there's something I missed, please leave it in the comments and tell me. I would really appreciate it. This video is meant to help people. And honestly, you guys might even help me. Some of you are even better experts than I am. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Hopefully we can start getting out videos more consistently. FuzionTimmy, signing out.